I'm Felina.
And I'm Summer.
And you are listening to Broken Broken.
Because we're both.
The podcast about living your best life by getting real.
Hey broken people, this is Summer. Just a note before we get into today's episode. I apologize for anyone who can hear the incessant clicking in the background on today's episode, or the fact that it sounds a bit hollow. Apparently the microphone, something went out in my microphone and we couldn't tell while it was recording. None of the waves on the screen looked odd, so we didn't know until after the fact that it has that annoying sound. But as you can hear, I have gotten a new microphone now, so soon enough you will have clearer sound again, and I apologize. But please, if you can manage it, stick it out and listen, because Rachel has some amazing things to say. And I really think a lot of people can get something from hearing her story.
So today we have Rachel. Rachel, this is Felina, my co-host, that looks an awful lot like an iPhone.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi,
I'm sorry I'm not there. I have fibromyalgia and my body just hurts, which, I joke about using marijuana, but I really need it as medicine.
All right, Rachel. So why don't you tell us about yourself? Where are you from?
I'm from Oklahoma City. I lived in Tulsa for like 7 months when I was 18, and it was miserable. And I called my mom and I said, I need you to find someone with a truck to bring me home because I don't want to live here.
Aww.
Sorry, Tulsa.
I hear a kitty.
Yeah. What's the kitty's name?
Her name is Juby. I call her that because when she was a kitten, she ate a jujube. And so I started calling her Jujube, but that's a mouthful.
She sounds very sweet.
Well, she's not.
That's
Is she an evil cat?
She is an evil cat. I love her with all of my heart. She scares people.
Oh, no.
Because she'll come up to you and she will do the sweetest meow, and she'll crawl on your lap and she'll get comfy and lay and look at you with her belly in the air, and you'll go to pet her and she'll bite you.
I mean, I'm kind of like that, so I get it. I have a friend who used to be a police officer. She was a police officer for almost 10 years, I think, and she refuses to have a cat because the idea scares her. Because she says, do you know what happens when you die? The cat eats you, and they start with your face. Because she had done so many crime scenes. After that had happened with the cat, that she's terrified of cats and she won't have one.
Well, good. I didn't want an open casket anyway.
I mean, Fluffy's gotta eat, right?
Right? I'm not gonna need that face anymore. I don't want Kitty to die.
I mean, you're not using it. It's fine.
Kitty might be hungry. You never know. It's really generous of you to give up your face after you die to feed your cat.
That's true love right there.
That's true cat ownership love right there. Anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted. I just wanted to address the elephant, or in this case, kitty, in the room. But you were telling us about yourself and living alone for the first time.
Yeah.
When did you decide to move back?
I'm sorry?
What did you do after that?
Oh, I moved back in with my mother, and I got a job waiting tables in a restaurant, and I stayed at that restaurant until I started at DHS when I was 27.
So I heard the tone drop when you said you moved back in with your mother.
Yes.
So, happy family?
I love my mother. She's my best friend. We are like, if Rory and Lorelai existed in the Shameless universe.
Yes! I would pay to watch that show!
I describe my relationship with my daughter as being Rory and Lorelai. I literally am making her binge watch the show with me this summer right now.
Have you watched Shameless to get the rest of that reference?
Yes, I have. Nice mix of both, honestly, if I'm being honest with myself.
So is your mom Frank? Or
I would say a really good mix of Fiona. She's got the tenacity and drive of Fiona. A bit of the craziness of, what's the mom's name? I can't remember the mom.
I don't know.
My dad was definitely Frank.
Oh my god.
Yeah. For sure, my dad was Frank. Right down to the denim jackets.
Oh no.
Oh my! So was he ever scheming Did he have ploys to earn money in odd ways?
He did. The first time I got to visit someone in jail was when he had gotten arrested for stealing identities with some guy he met. I hadn't seen him in probably 8 months. And he called from jail one day and was like, "Hi, I'm in jail.
Surprise!
Would you want to come see me?"
Oh my gosh.
So I jumped in my Honda Civic and 17 years old drove to the county jail.
How long did he fit in there?
Probably 2 months.
He's just like, nobody's coming to see me. I guess I'll call my daughter.
Oh my gosh. That's definitely a bit of Shameless.
Now he
Right
was an
there.
addict, right?
Yes. He was definitely big into crack in the 90s, and
Well, that was the thing then, right?
mhm. And he was a massive alcoholic, and struggled with it his whole life. He spent a couple years sober when I was in college, but that didn't really last. He moved in with a locksmith and started working with him. And the locksmith was a heroin junkie. They had met at Clay's Crossing, the rehab
yes.
on Mod.
I am familiar.
That happened.
Yeah, and actually his brother was in, what is that, like, there's some band from the early 2000s from Oklahoma that was kind of like Nickelback-y.
Hinder?
Yes,
Oh,
that.
I saw them at the Diamond.
Wait.
Yes.
Yeah, the Diamond is where you would see a band like
Yes.
that.
Wait, hold up, because I know all those guys. What did he play?
I don't know. I know that the guy that my dad lived with, his last name was Garvey. That's all I really remember.
Oh, I know exactly who that is.
Lena's a musician.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, no, a couple guys in that band are from Guyman, from my hometown, and
Oh, I forgot that. Yeah.
my very best friend from high school is married to the drummer. Interesting.
I like describing
Interesting.
Oklahoma is very spread out, but very small.
Very small. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as populous as other states.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody.
So how did he end up relapsing, do you know?
He relapsed while he was in Clay Crossing.
Which is pretty typical, really.
Yeah, he would, and he stole a bike from them one night and bicycled to a gas station in Seminole, which I'm not good at gauging directions and distances, but Seminole's
That's quite a ways away.
quite a ways on bike at 2 in the morning. He was a lot younger then. He was in his early 40s.
And when you're determined.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a pretty far way to go for some natty light, though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, if I live 2 seconds from a liquor store, and I'm sometimes like, nah.
Because you don't need it that bad. Oh. So did they let him stay after he stole their bike, or did they make him
I
leave?
don't think they knew about that. When they finally kicked him out was when they after a certain amount of time, they let you go home for weekend visits, and he went on a bender. We went to lunch. This place there used to be this place on 63rd and Western. I think it was called Coach's. It's long since been demolished, but it was across the street from where there's that new Starbucks, and where they just tore down that Tex-Mex restaurant. But he said he was going to the bathroom, and then he never came back to the table.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay.
Like I do on a bad date.
Yeah. Ghosted by my dad. So I knew there used to be a Henry Hudson's right there on Western.
Okay.
And I called them and I said, "Can I speak to Drew Holder, please? I know he's sitting at your bar."
There he was.
And they were like, there is one guy sitting at our bar, I'll ask him. And he goes, "Hey, are you Drew Holder?" And I hear him say, "No, my name's Travis." And I was like, that is him. Tell him it's his daughter. I'm 17. I can't come in there, because it was right before you could go into Henry Hudson's. I grew up going to Henry Hudson's with my parents because kids were allowed places. But then when they changed the smoking laws, kids couldn't go in anymore. which is probably
So
good.
did you get left in the car?
Pretty much. No, I think I just started staying home and downloading music on LimeWire.
Oh, I remember LimeWire.
But so I drove up there and walked inside, and I was like, "You gotta come with me."
Dragging your daddy out of the bar.
Yeah. Wasn't the first time, and it wasn't the last time.
Yeah.
Well, once I had to get him from. There used to be a bar on May Avenue called the Dugout, and him and his friend Sean. His friend Sean was a paraplegic. He had taken LSD and went on a drive to California with a friend, and they got in a car wreck.
Wow.
And Brian, the other friend, died, and Sean became wheelchair bound, and he was
Oh my
like,
god.
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of background for why my dad was the way he was. I mean,
Right.
his mother was a schizophrenic. She was institutionalized when he was little.
And that's common with
Yeah.
addicts. I mean,
Yeah.
there's that meme going around right now that I really like that talks about, marijuana's not a gateway drug, alcohol's not the gateway drug. Trauma is the gateway
Yeah. For
because
sure.
it's usually
Right,
an unresolved trauma
absolutely.
that's leading to that compulsion.
For sure. And I don't know. I never really tried to think about it painfully, but it was just kind of funny to me being 16 and in my first car going to the Dugout because he and Sean have been kicked out because they took ecstasy and were acting weird. And so
Oh my gosh.
my nature was to mess with him and be like, it drills holes in your brain. And so he's all high and freaking out, and I'm just making up all this stuff that ecstasy can do to you that I didn't really understand what ecstasy was yet.
Messing with the guy who's high is funny.
Yeah, but I'm like, let me give you a little dare course on the way home.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I mean, what a great coping mechanism.
Right? That's what I was just thinking. The reason we can laugh about this is because our lives have been really messed up.
Yeah.
We have another friend who has led a very sheltered life that when we tell stories like this, she looks at us completely horrified
Yeah.
and say, what? This stuff is real? Are you making this up? I'm like, oh, wait, I'm sorry. We forgot. This is not everybody's normal.
Yeah. Well, remember when we had to explain to her the concept of a garage apartment?
Oh, I forgot about that.
I was like...
Now, mind you, she thinks she grew up in a modest house, and it is 3 times bigger than any house I've ever lived in, with 3 floors and a full basement. My life, she will never understand.
Yeah.
I told her once about washing laundry by hand out by a clothesline, and she swore I was making it up and lying to her. Like, no, I mean, that's what you do when you don't have a washing machine.
Yeah. Or boiling water on the stove because your gas is cut off.
Yes.
So that you can wash your clothes and bathe yourself.
And bathe, yes. I've done that more than once in my life.
And quickly try to get all the food into the ice chest when the electricity gets cut off.
Right?
First it's like, don't open the refrigerator.
No, you gotta go 12 hours before stuff ruins in there if you don't
Yeah.
open it.
Yeah.
Get it down to a science. And I had somebody message me yesterday because she makes a lot more than me, and it's only her she's supporting, and she still has money problems. She says, I don't understand how you manage money. I said, you just get really good at being poor. It's a skill.
Yeah.
And I've been much poorer before than I am now, so it seems easy now.
Yeah, it's like payment arrangements and
Payday
pawn
loans.
shops, and yeah, it becomes intuitive. You just don't even think about it.
When Kalina and I were in law school, because we went to law school together, there was a classmate that I had to explain to how to pawn things. She didn't know that was a thing, and she literally didn't have money for food. I'm like, let me tell you what you can do.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, you got to keep track of those tickets.
If you want your stuff back,
keep track
definitely.
of the dates.
Yes.
So there'd be like, okay, if we want the TV back, we got it. This one's the most
The
important.
juggle, the
Yeah.
rotation. Yes. By the way, if you need lessons in hustling, we take Cash App. $10 a message. So how did things end up with your dad?
Oh, well, he pretty much just the same until the day he died, really. We the last year of his life, we went to Enid and picked him up from Garfield County Jail. He had been driving drunk and wrecked his car and got arrested, and my mom left him in there for like a month. And see, the thing with my mom is they never got married.
But were they together the whole time?
But it was like they were together, but they weren't.
Okay.
It was like he was up there living with another woman, but it was just like it always came back to them. Just they codependency runs deep in my family.
Okay. Lots of examples of that in mine.
And so finally she just went and got him because it was apparent that the woman's name was Barbara, but he called her Barbie. Wasn't going to take him back this time. She had already moved another guy in to her house.
The surefire sign.
Yeah. And so we went and got him, and it was weird because it was a Sunday, and apparently you can only order 3-2 beer at the Buffalo Wild Wings in the Garfield County bar. The bar in the Buffalo Wild Wings in Garfield County. So apparently Sundays you can't even order liquor.
You couldn't serve by drink.
Yeah. So I don't know how it works now that there's no 3-2 beer. Maybe they don't get to drink at all.
I don't remember.
I'm sure laws had to have changed, but
Well, yeah, they changed the law, but I don't remember what the distinction was on if you can sell on Sunday or not.
yeah. I think also we can vote by county now for Sunday sales, but I haven't heard of any counties.
Yeah, you can do it by county, but the thing is, you can either have to be. It's kind of an all or nothing thing.
Yeah.
And so if all your regular bars that could, since there's no distinction between High Point and Low Point,
Yeah.
they had to either do everything or nothing.
Yeah. So that must be why the Red Rooster can sell liquor now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as long as they have a liquor license, they're good.
There you go. Anyway, so we were just. I remember sitting there and my parents being like, "This is crazy." I'm like, "We're kicking Dad up from jail."
Again.
You guys are upset that you can't get more than 3-2 beer right now.
But it does get normalized, right?
Yeah. And so we eat our dinner and then we hit the road and we're going down Highway 412 and I cross these train tracks and out of nowhere a deer hit my car.
Oh.
And it was just kind of like the beginning of a really weird dark year because that deer hit my car, it flew back behind us, and then the train went by, and I don't know whatever happened to that deer. We just drove off, and then my mom got robbed at gunpoint at the Red Rooster.
Oh my god.
Yeah, her and the she was up there because she forgot her wallet or her laptop or something, and so she'd gone back up, and she knew the bartender, Hannah. I'm sure you know Hannah. She's a musician. She's really well known.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Red Rooster over on 30th and Walker?
Yeah. Yeah.
My office is like within walking distance of it, and it's like totally different now.
Yeah, it's completely different. I went in there for the first time this last weekend, and it's like, no, it's wild how different it was.
Really?
Yeah. It was at the time of this story, it was like a hole in the wall beer bar.
Ah, okay.
Well, I mean, it was that until just like about a year ago. How long ago was this with your mom?
2013 is when this story happened. So they were leaving. Hannah was like, just hang out with me while I close. And so she was closing up and my mom was keeping her company. They go to walk out the door and this guy sticks a gun in their face and was like, get back inside. And they took all her tips and all of the restaurant money, which the restaurant kept in a bank bag in a drawer. Just behind the
Very
bar.
secure.
Yeah. But also good. I mean, that could have saved their lives. That it was that accessible.
It's easy.
Yeah.
I can just take it and go.
And then, so that happened, and then later that year, it was right before Halloween, and I was at a Danzig concert at the Diamond.
Of course you were.
And I remember thinking the worst thing in my life that night was nobody was dressed up in costume, and so I looked like a weirdo.
Love it.
And
I love being the only person dressed up.
That also happened to me at Foster Hall when I went dressed like a gnome.
I
Nobody was there in costume.
I need pictures of you dressed like a gnome.
Okay, I'll try and find
This
one.
will make my life complete.
I knitted the gnome hat myself, and
Love
made
it. That's
a.
hilarious.
I made a poodle skirt without the poodle.
Okay, yeah.
But that night, my dad, we lived in a really old house over off 22nd and Walker, and none of the doorknobs worked. And so in the bathroom, you could lock yourself in there, and it was on the second story, and so if you shut the door all the way, you couldn't get out. And so he didn't have a cell phone in there with him, and he had been drinking all night and jumped out the window because he didn't know no one was home to let him out. And so he broke all of his ribs, and he crawled back in the house, and my mom called me at 3 a.m. and was like, "There's something wrong with Drew." That was his name. And I was like, "Well, what's wrong?" And she goes, "I don't know, he's downstairs screaming at the top of his lungs." And I was like, "Well, call 911. So she called an ambulance. He spent 10 days at OU, and they let him out, and he came home on a Thursday, and we're not sure exactly when he passed away, but it was sometime between when I left for work on Friday at 4:30 in the afternoon. But I was the last person to ever see him alive, and we found him Saturday night when we got off work. So we just don't really know when.
Right.
And they didn't do an autopsy, so we're not really sure how. But
They didn't?
no, they did a toxicology report, and that was it. They did not do an autopsy.
Oklahoma law requires an autopsy for all unintended deaths.
That's what I was under the impression of, but it didn't happen, and we didn't have the money for a private autopsy,
Right.
so it was just kind of like, he was 52. He had been drinking since he was 13-ish, and at that point, he was going through like a handle of vodka every couple days on top of a 30-pack of Natty Light, and he was taking more tabs for the pain, and that was before they.
Wonder what his liver looked like.
Who knows? So I mean, it's just his body probably just couldn't take it. So
Especially after the damage from the fall.
yeah, it's just weird because the Friday night before I was a waitress still, and I was leaving for work at like 4 p.m, and I went in the bedroom and I gave him a hug, and I was like, "I love you," and he goes, "This is the stupid thing I've ever done in my life." And I was like, "I agree with you." And then an affordable cremation commercial came on, and I was like, "So glad you didn't die." But I got to hug him and kiss him and tell him I love him, and that was our last moments together, and so I will always have that. So
That's nice. So you get those moments.
and he's not in pain anymore. He just, this world was too much for him. People were always dying around him, and his mother passed away in 92, and he passed away in 2013, and I don't think he ever got over it.
Yeah, I mean, life is very hard. For
I always
addicts. It
just-
really is. I have a friend who's an addict, and I don't know if he's clean right now. When he texts me, sometimes I'm not sure that he is.
Yeah.
Even if he says he is.
Yeah.
You know how that goes, but it's heartbreaking to watch because no matter what's happening around him, and even when things are good, he's still just trapped in this misery that he's dealing with, and it's heartbreaking to see him go through that year after year after year.
The way that you described that really reminded me of my mother, and she could never admit that she was an addict, even though we knew she was. She took pain pills were her addiction, and she hid it. But she was so sensitive, and after she died, I knew that she wanted to die, and that she was relieved and no longer in pain, and she was always just so hurt, so sensitive, so feeling of everything that was happening in the world around her. She was so much an empath that I feel like a lot of addicts are really incredibly wonderfully sensitive people who just don't know how to deal with such strong emotions. We're not equipped to learn how to really deal with that. You know what I mean?
And a lot of us aren't taught. I mean, I wasn't taught at all how to productively deal with your emotions.
No.
Me neither. Yeah.
And so if you don't know how to process those things in a healthy way, it's not hard at all for that to become.
Yeah, and I think that's even why you will hear people say, I just can't believe he's an addict. He's from such a good family. And I'm like,
that is so aggravating to me. I just want to shake
Yeah,
you.
that's
You don't understand addiction at all.
do you understand the complexity of human beings at
Obviously
all?
not. Have you ever been a human? Because I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you hear that so often. That's such a common narrative. Is to think of addiction as some sort of moral failing instead of
A disease. What it is. It's a mental health issue, and it's hard to also be on the outside because you don't know what to do, and no one teaches you how to deal with it. So you're on this pendulum of codependency and enabling, and then you get sick of that, so you swing to the other extreme of tough love and not just removing yourself, and it's like
I'm trying to figure out where the line is between supporting someone and enabling them is a moving target. I have found, and
It definitely is, yeah.
and I usually am not sure I'm on the right side of it. Honestly, I'm just like trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And it's also just weird. I think it's a lot like in a zombie movie, how they must feel when they see their loved one as a zombie. Because that's what it kind of feels like. Because it's like...
That's a really great way to describe it, yeah.
That's their face, but that's not them.
Yep.
And you want them.
Mm-hmm.
You want them so bad, and you're helpless to fix that. Yeah.
Well, how do you think, growing up that way, like, what are some of the things that you've seen in yourself that you've had to maybe cope with or overcome that, were a direct result of being exposed to that? Because, I mean, that's not a normal way. I mean, like, I had to, I thought I was kind of trained in my brain to think it was normal to show up at my mom's home and find her, passed out in a puddle of her own vomit. Well, that's not normal. Like, I should have probably been going to NA, but I didn't know. And for a 16, 17-year-old to consistently pick up their father from the bar, from drinking, from all that, like, what has been some of the things you've seen in yourself that you think maybe were because of that exposure?
Oh, definitely the strong codependency. Like, that is something I struggle with daily. and causes me a lot of anxiety. And just also, I think I got into the wrong field for that, because now it's just like the weight of all of my clients' problems are mine.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
If you're empathetic at all, let alone an empath, or if you struggle with codependency, because you feel all of that, and you've got the client crying to you on a daily basis, and you feel that, what they're dealing with, trying to figure out how they're going to feed their babies, or I had one calling because her daughter just died. Like, she had just got the phone call 5 minutes before I talked to her.
And you were the first call.
Yeah. And, I had called her because we had an appointment. And so the timing just happened to coincidentally, and so she just answered it out of reflex, not thinking, because she's still sitting there crying.
Oh,
and so I just hear her sobbing, like, okay, are you okay? And that's when everything comes out. And I mean, social work is a tough field if you feel that, like, if you're empathetic, but then on the other hand, if you're not empathetic, Lord, we've seen some workers that aren't, and they're terrible to people.
They shouldn't be.
No.
Yeah, I think that's what keeps me in it so much. Like, I sit there and I update my resume and I'm like, out of here.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I feel like I can't abandon them, which is, I mean, to my detriment,
right.
Really,
because they pay you nothing and they're taking years off your life. But
then you just get that loyalty to people, and my mom was impacted by it in the same way, where she's got this issue where she's not a very good judge of character, and she will take people under her wings, and they'll take advantage of her.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh no, quit bringing these stray puppy dogs home from the rooster.
Right.
It's what we used to say.
Aww,
we lived walking distance from it. We lived at 31st and Walker for a long time, and so she would just find these broken people,
and you just want to take
and
care of them.
You do, and we're like, you've got to take care of them to a certain point.
You gotta have boundaries.
You can't
and
bring
I don't
everyone
think,
home. Yeah.
Well, like, having an addict as a mother, I think, like, less specifically and more generally, just dealing with addicts as a parental figure makes it difficult for you to know how to set boundaries in general. I mean, because I just didn't really understand the concept of boundaries because my mom had none.
Right.
You know? And so, like, get into adulthood and the concept of, oh, I need to set boundaries with people so they don't take advantage of me, so they don't suck the energy or life out of me, or, you know, just to put myself first is a foreign concept. Because you grow up with these incredibly, because addiction is, I mean, it's a disease, but it also is a selfish disease, you know, because you hurt the people around you as you hurt yourself. But yeah, I mean, just the concept of boundaries was so foreign to me, and that was definitely a lesson I had to learn on my own. That, you know, just because she didn't know how to do that, you know, I didn't either.
Yeah, because when you grow up in that environment, you're more friends with your parents than you are
Right.
a child and parent. So, and it was the same with both my parents. I mean, my mom, she struggled with pill addiction after my dad died, and she would drink a magnum of white wine and a handful of Lortabs just to cope and get through it. And so I am hyper aware of the addictive personality that runs through my family. So, and I struggle without eating. So it's like, if I'm upset, I mean, my first instinct is to, where's the bag of gummy bears?
I eat my feelings.
Yeah.
Sex has always been a coping mechanism for me too, which can get you into trouble if you're in a compulsive spiral.
Yeah.
Can get into some dangerous situations.
Yeah. And like, I would also just, you know, I was in college when my dad died, and so it was like, I would just turn on the PlayStation and play 12 hours of video games and just like not even think of anything else.
That's some impressive focus.
And yeah, well, the diet pills help.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it used to be a lot easier to get diet pills. You get some good ones.
Oh my goodness.
Back in the day.
Super eggs.
Gotta go to Mexico now.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a doctor back home who would hand out the bird eggs like Pez. So I knew a guy who would have like every woman he knew go get because they could turn her so he could flip them and sell pills.
And you know, the first time I got my diet pill prescription, I was 18 and probably weighed 130 pounds. I'm 5'4", so I mean, I wasn't super skinny, but I probably should have been given diet pills.
No, you were not overweight. Sure, have some speed.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It was the Broadway Clinic right there on Broadway by Byron's.
I mean, it's not meth, so it's fine.
No, now I'm just prescribed legal meth.
Oh, we're Adderall? Yeah. That's the joke my friend and I have. Because, you know, that coping mechanism about laughing about things that aren't funny.
Oh, yeah.
Her husband had a meth problem, and she didn't know it till after. Well, he didn't have it when they got together. He started using, apparently, at some point while she was pregnant, only she didn't know it. And she found it, like, the baby was, like, brand new, a few weeks old. And she found his drugs, and she's like, what the fuck do I do? Like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, we make a lot of meth jokes now just to cope with.
But you gotta laugh to keep from crying. That's something one of my very first clients ever said to me.
It's true
It
though.
is
It's true. He is clean now, but some days I wonder if the brain damage is ever going to be repaired.
You know?
Because you know, some it does and some it doesn't.
Yeah. My ex, I met him actually. He was roommates at Clay Crossing with my father.
So you and I need to talk about our taste in men.
Oh my!
And so I was 17, and I go visit my dad at rehab, and I meet his roommate, and he gets out of rehab
And
and
it's love.
and has nowhere to go. He has to go to a sober living house. So he finds one in Oklahoma City. He was originally from Arkansas.
Oh, boy.
And was like, hey, I'm coming to you.
How
And
romantic.
I, you know, it's like, I don't really know you that well, but all right, I guess the polite thing to do will be your girlfriend.
Right? Like how your mom brings people home. Do we see a pattern?
Yeah.
Let's fix the broken bird. And how long did you have him?
10 years.
Oh, wow.
10 long years of buying Mountain Dew and weed and cigarettes for
Did he
someone
ever?
who intermittently works
What was
labor
his
jobs.
What put him in rehab?
He was okay. So he comes from his family's lovely. His parents are very nice people. They are, they're very progressive, but they're also very Baptist.
Oh,
Baby
okay.
boomers. So it's a weird mix.
Right.
So they sent their baby boy to Kansas to play college basketball at a Catholic college, which was, you don't do that because the Catholics are witch doctors.
Right.
But they did, and he found marijuana there and got kicked off the basketball team and had to go back home to Fayetteville, and then found meth, and then found Klonopins and stole a golf cart and broke into a snow cone shop and made a snow cone and got arrested.
I mean, I have been tempted to break into those snow cone stands and make my own.
He was living his best life.
Right?
Yeah.
There have been days, but so did he ever relapse on the meth while you two were together?
No.
Okay, well that's
No.
good.
I don't think it was necessarily he smoked a lot of marijuana. I mean, obscene amounts of marijuana.
So he just wanted to be constantly altered. He
Yes.
didn't like.
I don't think meth was really if he hadn't have been arrested, I don't think he would have ever gone to rehab or even continued with it. I think it was his parents were like, you've got to go to rehab to get out of this trouble and find God again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how
And
did
so
you end
when
up
did
with?
when did that relationship end? How long ago?
Almost 3 years ago to the day, actually.
Oh.
So July of 2016, I just was like, we'd been trying to dissolve that relationship. I moved into an apartment and I said, I'm going by myself. You're moving in with your friend Brian. Of course, that didn't happen. All his stuff ended up at Brian's, but the person didn't.
Where did the person go, Rachel?
The person went to Rachel's apartment, and so
Because those codependency binds are tough
Yeah.
to break.
And honestly, being at DHS, I started at DHS in March of 2016, and I don't know, just being around normal people, normal compared to my circle of people at the time. I was in the restaurant industry, so it was just dysfunction everywhere. So out of all of the dysfunction, we were the functional people.
Oh.
But then I see this whole world of people in normal, happy marriages, normal and happy
Functioning relationships.
by themselves.
Right.
You can be by yourself and be happy. You can be in a relationship and be happy. You don't have to be in this apartment of angst and anger and
Misery.
yeah, it was just it was all the walls had holes in them because he'd get mad and punch holes in walls, and
Oh my god.
it was just he wouldn't keep a job, and I was like, I'm gonna be 30 soon. I have a normal job now, and it's time for me to have a normal life, and this is not a normal life. And it's just I don't even really know. I can't tell you what it was. I just woke up, I guess.
That's good.
And well, my grandmother had gotten diagnosed with lung cancer that year, and she just kind of was also like, Rachel, you've got to get out of that. Like, that's not a healthy relationship, and you gotta move on.
Right. Like,
Please.
don't stay stuck there.
and my grandmother was with my grandfather till he died, and he was an alcoholic, but they didn't even live together the last 10 years of his life. She made him buy her a house over here off May, and she was like, I want a pretty house that has nice things, and you can't give me that, so you're gonna buy me one.
Yeah.
And so I did, and then 2 weeks after I kicked him out, I met Sam on Tinder. I was day drinking at the Blue Note.
That's how I ended up on Tinder.
Yeah, and my
day
friend,
drinking with a friend, and she opened my profile.
yeah, she was
started it.
my friend. She was going through divorce, and I was like, let's get on Tinder, and we're gonna find some strange.
I mean, 2 weeks is a long time. I have a 3-day rule, so 2 weeks is a long
Yeah.
time.
Which, I mean,
There's many ways to break the cycle.
Right?
Yeah, I support them all.
Well, this one turned out to be a good functional relationship. So how does that feel?
I can't tell you
To be
how
happy.
incredible it feels. I mean, I don't know. I for the first time in my life, I'm middle class and happy, and I mean,
That's a big deal when you grow up poor, guys.
yeah,
really
it was
is.
like he bought me name brand Mucinex the other night, and I was like, holy shit.
Like,
Name
did we hit the lottery? What happened?
brand, and not Tylenol either. That Mucinex.
Wow.
That's like $2
Fancy.
more.
You fancy, huh?
I know. But also, it's just like the respect and love, and I don't know. It's fun.
There's no
and
holes
happy
punched in the
and-
walls. I'm here to witness.
Yeah. It's just like it's a nice, happy, clean house, which is not what I had
Right.
before.
I'm glad you broke that cycle. That's great.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I think that's the hardest thing to do. When you have especially a family history. I've got that too of women being in abusive relationships, and to break free of that and break the cycle and do things differently is incredible. So that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you for doing
Well,
this.
hey, I think we're probably running out of time.
We are at time, yes.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel. I'm sorry I couldn't be there physically, but it was really great to hear your story. Interesting, hilarious, sad, and wonderful all at the same time. That's life, right?
You can contact the podcast at brokebrokenpodcast@gmail.com. The Broken Podcast can be found online at www.brokebrokenpodcast.com, on Twitter at BrokeBrokenShow, on Instagram and Facebook at BrokeBrokenPodcast. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and YouTube.